I want you to go back to your house.
Are you serious? They're 12 and 14 years old.
And I'm looking for two kids about this age right now. So get back to your house.
My name is Keith Neely, and I'm an attorney with the Institute for Justice. And today, we're here in Springdale, Arkansas to meet with Cassie and her two sons, Hayden and Weston, to discuss a scary encounter that they had with police in January 2018. When Cassie's family was finishing up their dinner at her parents', her sons, 12 and 14-year-old Weston and Hayden, decided to walk home. While that was going on, Springdale police were trying to find two men, one taller than the other. Officer Lamont Marzolf was put on lookout and had stopped his vehicle on a residential street near where Cassie's family live. So what the police officer knows at this point is that he's looking for two males, one taller than the other, who are running from police. And here come Hayden and Weston. True, one is taller than the other, but they're not running, they're walking, and they're boys. And that's where the night takes a horrible turn.
Hey, what are you guys doing? Hey, stop, turn away from me.
Okay, Cassie, we're back where everything happened that night. Can you walk us through how things looked from your perspective when you came onto the scene?
Yes, I was walking out of my front door. I saw the police lights and I knew that he was probably going to stop and ask some questions. So I just started walking straight over here. I started approaching the police officer and yelling behind. They were my boys.
Hey, sit back. Get back!
The police officer pulled a taser on me then and told me that he was serious to get back, and I asked him where he wanted me to go, and he told me to leave, to go home.
And how did that feel, having the police officer completely ignore you, threaten you with a taser, and then tell you to leave your children behind?
Very intense moment as a parent, and just not being able to do anything and not understand what is happening.
That's 10-4. Get on the ground. Put your hands out. Hands out.
All right, Hayden and Weston, this is the spot where it happened. You were walking home that night and police officers stopped you. Tell me a little bit what was going through your mind. What was happening then?
He had us turn around with our hands in the air and had us get on the ground on our stomachs, and then he came and checked us and cuffed us.
Put your hands behind your back.
Whenever I had my hands cuffed, I kind of got a little bit panicked. I started freaking out.
You two, was y'all in the car, jumped out, run from the police? What y'all doing down here?
Hayden and Weston were apprehended using what's known as a Terry stop, otherwise called a stop and frisk. It's a procedure that the Supreme Court first authorized in the 1960s, and today it's used thousands of times around the country every day.
A case of mistaken identity gone horribly wrong.
Turn around! Let me see your hands!
They had guns pointing at my son.
He was handcuffed for at least 4 minutes and was never told why.
Put your hands up!
4 children, 2 of them in handcuffs, being detained by police.
I was still in shock when I was in handcuffs.
I'm here at the Institute for Justice's headquarters here in Arlington, Virginia, to talk to Robert McNamara, attorney on this case, to explain more.
So the Supreme Court has said that the police can stop suspicious individuals and demand that they explain themselves and even frisk them in what's known as a Terry stop, which is supposed to be minimally intrusive. But in reality, a Terry stop is not just a stop and frisk, it has turned into a stop, assault, handcuff, point a gun at, all in the name of this minimally intrusive investigation. And that's just worlds beyond anything the Supreme Court has ever signed off on.
I'm telling you, this is the problem. Okay, that's 12 and 14 years old.
When it was over, the officer returns to his car, closes his door, and says to himself, That sigh is the sound of a police officer realizing he's just violated someone's constitutional rights. After the incident, Cassie sued Officer Marzolf on her boy's behalf for illegal seizure, arrest, search, and excessive force, and on her own behalf for excessive force for threatening to use a taser on her when she obviously posed no threat.
This case is about whether government officials can be held accountable for actions that any reasonable person would tell you were wrong. I defy anyone to watch this video and tell me that's good policing. That's how this interaction should have gone. But the federal courts have said it's just not their business to say that this bad behavior violates the Constitution. But if anything violates the Constitution, pointing a gun at 2 children because you're looking for 2 adults has to be it.
I want the Supreme Court to take my case because I want police officers to be held accountable for the communities they serve.